There's some dragons, and it's a sequel, and it's better than it has any business being. Dungeons and Dragons, Wrath of the Dragon God. It's better than the first one. Go watch it. Hurd Ya Saw. It's a podcast.
Then I'm with you guys. Then I'm with you.
Then you're with us?
Yeah, I just need to know who Roy Marsden is. It hurts me too much not to know. It doesn't actually hurt.
Inquiring minds want to know.
He's been in New Tricks. He's a proper actor.
Has he been in Morse?
I haven't got that far yet. He was
Alright.
Mr. Stoker in an episode of Doctor Who, which was 2007. Was he like...
Hey, that sounds vaguely familiar.
Was that the vampire guy? The one with the straw? No, that's the woman. No, there he is.
He might have been the Crimson Horror. No, it's too late for the Crimson
Yeah.
Horror.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ah, he was in an episode of Sherlock Holmes.
I will say, I think this is one of our better rolling starts. Welcome back to Hurd Ya Saw.
Nice.
God damn you! You were taking me as I rambled about Roy Marsden's career.
Welcome back once again to another episode where we watched a movie that none of us expected to be good, but turned out to
It
be
wasn't
surprisingly
good.
rad.
It wasn't good. It
It-
was rad.
I'm joined by Rachael
Hello!
and Maddie,
Hi.
and we just watched. Where's the box?
We hit it.
It's
There it is.
here.
Oh yeah, it is Dungeons and Dragons: Wrath of the Dragon God. Now we begin as ever with a round of one-line hot takes, which, in case you guys have forgotten, since it's been a little while since you've been on the show, you have to sum up your initial feelings on the film in one sentence, phrase, or short collection of words. Rachel, your one-line hot take on Dungeons and Dragons: Wrath of the Dragon God.
Lux was the best character ever. It should have ended with her and Vim going off and having adventures together, and that's like actually the biggest problem with the ending is it did not. But apart from that, that was surprisingly emotionally investable in.
Emotionally investable in. That's
Yes.
good. And also, no lies detected.
Thank you.
Maddie, your one-line hot take on Dungeons and Dragons: Wrath of the Dragon God, baby.
I thought it would be shit, and it actually had some quite good bits in it.
Yeah!
And women doing things.
Women did do
It could have
things.
easily had no women at all.
Yeah, very easily, but they had woms, and woms did stuff.
Thank you, Nick.
They totes did it.
What's your one-line?
My one-line hot take is I can't believe this actually was a sequel to the Jeremy Irons Dungeons and Dragons movie that I thought we were going to be watching.
It's
because
been a roller coaster ride for Nick.
it's been a whole evening. So we're going to recount. Now here's the thing.
We're not
We're going to recount the plot.
Not the whole plot. We're going to give like the premise, and then we're going to talk about the movie. I just want to get something out straight ahead, like straight shooter from the hip here, right? I think people should watch this movie. It's better than it has any
like,
business
kind of
being.
fun.
Yeah, like you've got to get through the I feel like the first 10 minutes were
There's
a little
lot
bit.
of exposition. Which
Yeah,
we didn't
and there was
really
some,
listen to.
like, there was we must not forget the terribleness of Starry Guy in the background.
Oh no, that's great. Starry Guy.
I mean, it was art, but at the same time...
You know what? It was really clever because it was Starry Guy, and then when Starry Guy got killed, we were like, oh no, Starry Guy.
We'd managed to invest in him despite the fact that he had no lines.
Yeah.
It's like
Despite
the
a shit.
level of the discourse that we're at
He
tonight.
poured a bath and then got killed, and you were like, oh dang, that dude's dead. But I was gonna, I genuinely, because here's my thing.
Go on.
I think this is better than the Dungeons and Dragons movie with Jeremy Irons. This has
Despite the fact it had no Jeremy Irons.
no, yeah, lack of Jeremy Irons, which was a shame, but it had more likable characters. It had, I think, a more coherent plot,
I
and
thought
like.
the plot was pretty coherent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, I understood what was going on.
Yeah, well, even though we were like, you know, we've been drinking in our cups a little bit this evening,
I'm only a tiny bit tipsy.
a little bit, just you know, I'm on like cider number 3 of the day, but it
Wow.
was still enough that we were all following roughly
Also,
what
we
was
were
going on.
talking through half the dialogue.
Yeah.
And we still were following
Yeah.
roughly what was going on.
Exactly. So I would say, Rachel, would you recommend people watch this movie?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like, if you don't like fantasy, don't bother. And you've got to have a certain tolerance for some of this. The acting is a little bit, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Ropey.
That's generous. Yes.
But some of the acting's really good. I mean, obviously, like, you know, like the glorious barbarian, my favourite character, was also a bit like, but I wish they hadn't put even quite so much heavy eye makeup. I'm not surprised that they have, but, you know, the eye makeup, man, what's that about?
Maddie, would you recommend people watch this movie? You can say no.
Like, I wouldn't recommend it as in you should prioritise it over other movies. But, like, if you want a fun, kind of stupid fantasy film
Yeah.
about a bunch of people trying to save a fantasy world from a dude with an evil orb.
Yeah. This is your movie for that.
It is your movie, and like it's not very good.
No, well,
But it's not very bad.
yeah, it's better than it should be. As a sequel to a movie that is well known of being a bit shit,
Yeah.
this is good. So, premise. We open on the town/city. We have a monologue from Damodar being like, I was turned into a zombie by a dragon god, but now I've got a cool orb and I'm not a zombie anymore.
I like that you listened and know what.
Yeah, I still thought it was a
reason.
different movie at that point. I'm like, wait, this isn't how Dungeons and Dragons opens. And then we cut to Ishmir, a single building with some shacks that is also a city.
Can we also mention that it has decidedly unmedieval bricks and rooftops?
Very solid red brick construction.
Yes.
Yes. We focus on Beric, who is the town lord tax collector.
That was a little confusing.
He works in the House of Lords.
But he used to be the king's guard.
Yeah.
And he's looking out at his hot boyfriend, who I think was...
The thing is, you might say slash goggles, but then they have a duel and
A
there's
sexy
lots of
duel.
innuendo.
There was a lot of swords, man.
There's
This goes nowhere.
a literal line is like, hey, sexy boy, let's duel with our swords. He goes,
That's not
what
a
about...
literal line.
What? Okay, he's like, hey, let's have a duel with swords. And the guy goes, okay, but if we
or
don't...
I could come to your chamber and we could duel with something else or something.
And
He
he's
did
all
say
like, yeah,
with- he
perhaps
did say
our quill.
with quills, but it was like
He's like, yeah, are the quills your penises? Is that where this is going? I feel like that's what it is. And
This is not actually relevant to the movie at all.
well, it's a little because it sets up Beric being like,
Gay.
so that
not gay.
Pretty-
Sorry,
I-
yeah.
clearly bi. You know,
Yeah.
he
That's
loves
a
his
fair
wife.
point, yeah.
Loves his wife. Has an ex. Lot going on there.
Yeah.
Maybe a thing with Dorian. Who can say?
Also a bit sad that he's now works in the House of Lords.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's-
can't do it as good as he used to. Because
But-
his boy, who
His boy lets him win the duel.
yeah, and he's all like, I took your plume, but I could have taken your head.
it's so symbolic.
There's
I
a
took
wonderful
your
bit
plume.
where it's strongly implied that Beric does a backflip, but they obviously couldn't get a good enough shot of the stunt guy doing
Be
it.
aware there are a lot of things where you're like, they couldn't get a good enough shot of that.
Yeah, there's a bit where a table
But
explodes
on
off
other
screen.
things, it kind of gets better as it goes on, thinking about it, because I'd
Yeah.
forgotten about that table explosion. I was like, that was not very good.
Yeah.
But then,
There was some garbage early on, but it's totally worth getting. Like I said, it's really worth like getting through the first like 10-20 minutes.
Yeah.
Because then it actually is something like the plot's got quite interesting.
Anyway,
So
basically-
Beric's wife, Melora, is trying to learn magic. Well, she's a mage and she's trying to learn a new form of magic to get onto the magic council. And she's like, I'ma do like a weird spell. And they do the weird spell and they discover a big book. And also she has a vision of Damodar, the baddie, who takes some of her hair. And she's all like, wait, no, we've skipped ahead. They
I
find a
mean,
dragon in a cave that's asleep.
yeah.
Because some dude who is a terrible actor is like, my lord, something in my village. People are
I think you
dying.
need to be sort of doing a vaguely sort of cod Central Asian accent.
What's
I'm not sure. I don't-
Central Asian?
Yeah.
Like, whereabouts is...
India.
Oh, my lord, I am here to
I-
tell
No, too Indian.
you. Was that too South Asian?
No, that was a poo from the Quickie Mart. That was.
There is a dragon in the cave, Mr. Simpson. It is
Oh
simply not
God,
good
this,
enough.
this is not going to.
Don't worry, we've been more problematic on the
Okay,
cast.
good. I
Um,
don't know the level of problematic that's appropriate for this podcast.
This podcast has no standards.
Okay.
So
yes.
they find a dragon, they're like, oh shit, this is a sleeping dragon god who's going to kill everybody.
That was also quite a cool effect, actually. The bit where he opened the eye, I was
Yeah.
like, generally like, oh, the pupil moved in a really good way.
Some
Yeah.
of the effects.
It
Some of the
really
effects,
varies
great.
between
Others
goth.
of the effect, plastic rocks.
Yeah.
Or you know that Photoshop effect where you can make it
Oh.
look like blobby glass.
They loved that effect.
They did love it for all of the magic. So they find out that this dragon god's going to revive and his wife's turning into a zombie and they need to get the orb from Damodar to stop it from happening. So he assembles a team.
And they specifically are like, we can only have 5 people because it's small enough that it means that he won't see it coming,
I
but cool enough that if we do like the super powerful people,
I
they'll be
like that you listen to this. Again, I completely missed this line of dialogue.
See, I liked that actually because even though like it was kind of dumb. But I like it when they explain why they've picked like a really specific small amount, because quite often you're like, why don't you just send an entire army?
Like a crack team.
Yeah.
You clearly have an entire army because you have a great number of extras.
There are so many extras in this movie.
I mean, to be fair, Beric's boyfriend is like, oh my god, I think they should just send an entire army. They will be the ones to save Ishmael.
My washed-up ex isn't up to it. I chopped a plume off his helmet last week. So they assemble the team, and it is Lux the Barbarian, who is a tall, radical barbarian lady who is introduced to us by just fucking beating the shit out of a load of people in a bar.
Yeah.
And we're like, you're great. Get on board. Dorian.
Fucking Dorian.
Dorian the cleric, who has a big hammer, constantly changing facial hair.
Oh my god, his facial hair. He comes up with this weird Hitler moustache, and I was like, okay, Hitler moustache.
He also looks like he's the kind of guy who writes letters to the newspaper.
He does a bit.
You're like,
Dear sir.
disgusted of Tunbridge
Hey,
Wells.
he was in an episode of Endeavour.
Wow.
Who was he?
He was somebody called Barker in 2018. The app, the internet movie database thing on my phone is always crap. I can never work out who these people are.
Okay,
I promise you when I can...
These people actually had careers that were not this movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, they've all actually been in relatively quite a bit.
As well as Dorian, there is Ormeline, who is a elven sorceress.
Yeah, Elven Maid.
Yeah, who can hide islands with her magic.
And blows
I liked
things up.
her. Like
She was cool.
The only thing that made me a bit sad about her was like, you know, I felt there could be a little more of her. They were a bit like, but she had some great moments.
She didn't have enough to do in the first area of the movie. She had to kind of pick it all up in the back end, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as well as her, they have Nim,
The Road.
who I think we all agreed Nim was best boy.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Nim was pretty much best boy.
Nim was great. We liked Nim.
I thought he was called Nick. So.
You just thought, oh, he's just like my cool younger brother.
You're my cool, roguish younger brother.
Yes, I'll
Yeah.
steal things and
He was-
attract tall women.
It was really, I mean, I do think actually that's something I would say that I think one thing I would say that the film may have had a problem with is that it did such a good job of kind of setting up interesting bits here and there that I think there wasn't always payoff.
No.
Like, I mean, in some ways it's kind of nice when you don't always have to have a direct payoff, but in other ways I was a bit like, but Lux and Vim are having this little thing, and I
think they could have done more with a
Yeah.
lot of it, really.
like
Yeah.
and it's
They
really,
had this whole bit with Lux's brother having been a berserker who went
But at
crazy.
the end,
Yeah.
she doesn't kill. What's his name?
Damodar!
I'm glad we've got the cast list paused on the screen here, so we
Yes.
can remember everybody's names.
Yeah.
It is helpful. It is
Yeah.
helpful.
Why are all the mages played by like Latin? Are they all played? Sorry, distraction.
No, this is great radio because the audience can't see the
No, I
cast
can't.
list. Do you reckon some people did this under fake names, are you
I mean,
saying?
you think that Libomerius Lacovicius
I'm just wondering
might
if
not
they
be...
filmed this at somewhere in Eastern Europe.
They
and
did say there
removed
was-
a lot of the extras
yeah.
from.
They did say specifically on the credits that there was a UK caster and and I didn't see who the other caster was, but I think therefore, which is why I do want to find out, like, in my heart, and to be honest, I don't want to be actually proved wrong or right, I'm positive that some of the castle scenes were filmed in Caerphilly Castle, and I'm just like, well, I just need it to be true.
So we've got our team of 5 and
Yeah.
they have to go on a quest to
Will
stop Damodar.
Will they save Ishmael?
No.
Will they
Well,
stop the
maybe.
wife turning into a zombie?
She's turning into a
That's
zombizzle.
the premise of the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Rachel,
Yes.
it's been a while since you were last in the cast, not since the Power Rangers episode.
Which was a better film than this.
I'll agree, I think Power Rangers was better than this. What did you make of Dungeons and Dragons Wrath of the Dragon God? Generally, any particular bits you want to talk about?
I mean, like I said, I kind of did really enjoy it. I got invested. Which, you know, I think that they, like I said, I think its biggest problem in a way was actually that they kind of introduced so much that they couldn't do a satisfying payoff for all of it. But the threat was actually really well done.
I think it helped that it was a 12 rating and they could therefore have a bit of blood and violence and death.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to say, do we care about spoilers?
We've
said
spoiled so much.
we've talked about the premise and we've said you should probably watch the movie. Maybe if you don't want spoilers, jump out now.
I mean, we have already spoiled
Like,
this.
comment, and subscribe.
We have.
You know,
Yeah.
but also keep listening because it's a good show.
Because I kind of want to talk about like a fairly big spoiler. Because
Yeah, talk about the big stuff.
Yeah,
Let's
because I
go.
genuinely didn't see it coming, which is always quite nice. Because I was genuinely quite impressed, and maybe I should have seen it coming because I had been just bitching about how he didn't have a character and I didn't like him because of his stupid face.
This our boy Dorian.
This is our boy Dorian, and then
She literally said, he is Fug. What's the point of calling someone Dorian if they're Fug?
Thank you for betraying me like that. Yeah, that's what I wanted everyone to know. Dorian should be beautiful, okay? You know, it's just the rule. Alexander Vlahos, beautiful man.
You're saying that
Dorian.
Stephen Elder doesn't do it for you with his weird top-shaved head and green tattoos?
He's like
his
epically
moustache.
better looking in like other things, I think.
But I
um,
think your point.
Yeah, my point was that he actually sort of died
messy death.
a surprising, like I was kind of like, oh yeah, he went, and then I was like, that was actually surprisingly,
Yeah.
obviously I wasn't that.
You literally were cheering, oh, I hope that dragon eats Dorian.
And then
And then
it
you
did,
were like,
and I was like,
oh.
I feel a bit.
But yeah,
I feel like I used my powers for evil.
I think I feel like you know, you kind of assume that no one's gonna die because unless someone dies tragically in the last act as
Yeah.
a Destiny death, and
To,
you're
like,
oh wow,
sacrifice themselves.
actually maybe anyone can die.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate that I was taken in by such a cheap trick, but
Yeah.
except for the way that it seemed like they maybe all came back to life at the end, but maybe that was heaven
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still don't
because he
think
was
that guy.
definitely eaten by a dragon.
I still think that guy wasn't Dorian.
But then, how did Ormeline get her arm back?
That is a weird
Well,
bit.
we did see earlier that, like, it's possible to regenerate limbs.
If you're a
'Cause-
lich.
Well, no, because
No, he wasn't the Lich. It was
The lich,
Dalamar.
the lich did it for him, but he was all like, "Oh, let's go to the best healers in the land." So maybe they did just regrow her limb. I'm like, maybe they just grew it back.
Yeah, and I think maybe the cleric they saw was actually like Dorian's bro, being like, "It's okay, I'm not sad that Dorian's dead because
Yeah.
none of us liked him."
It would have been better to have a guy with different hair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that long-haired French guy could have done that scene, but he was
yeah.
not available.
But I mean, the real problem with that ending was still the fact that it was not Lux and Vim riding off together. Like, I will steal things and you will punch people who get mad when I steal
You can
their
lift
stuff.
me up to high places that I can't reach.
Oh, that was a great scene. They just
Also, he didn't take a chance to, like, perv on her.
No.
yeah, actually, there was no.
For the short, like, dishonest, cynical guy, there was a strong lack of perving.
Yeah.
It was actually quite nice. I mean, again, I genuinely quite like that they found a lot of like it's obviously it's not perfect, but they found quite a lot of space for women to do things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was surprised.
You know.
When was this made?
2000 something. Because I think
I'm looking at the box.
Yeah.
2006.
Ah.
you know, but I you know, it says something about films today that's still like, oh yeah,
It's been
that's
called
nice.
Izmir this entire time.
Is not Ishmir.
Either that or they've typed it wrong in the box.
It's either is possible.
God knows, really.
But the one of the, I mean, like.
But it's like copyright Izmir Productions.
Oh, okay. But
I
one
think
of
maybe no one
the,
can-
speaking of the women doing things, I really like the bit when they find the hidden magical statue in the woods,
Yeah.
and the lads are like, "Fuck, there's 1 million bandits," because 1 million bandits show up.
There we have a lot of extras.
Like a comically huge amount of extras with weapons, and Lux and Ormeline are just like, "All right, we'll take care of this, boys. You figure out this statue puzzle."
There was another bit as well when there was I'm trying to remember. It was when they're about to set off and Lux and Nim are talking, and
Oh, and he pulls a knife on her, and she
yeah,
pulls
yeah.
a knife
But what
on
are they
him.
saying before that?
Oh, that your brother went crazy and murdered everybody.
No, not
No, that was early. That was later. It was the bit about she's saying I think she was saying you're gonna get on the horse. Do you need help to get on the horse, Rogue? And he was all like, "Yeah, I'm very manly," and she was like, "I could stab you, you know, if you're mean to me again." And she was like,
I think
"Stab
it was just like you'd kind of expect to see that scene with the genders reversed.
Yeah.
And
She had very sort of like strong,
and-
powerful
and
energy.
you know the man being like, "Do you need help to get on the horse, little lady?" And then she pulls a knife and shows how badass.
But
she
she's
is.
But then
like-
he pulls a knife and shows he was badass first.
Yeah, yeah. Like it was.
Yeah.
Okay,
It was
yeah.
great, but yeah, I mean,
surprisingly good for gender. I mean, also
Yeah.
I should add Lux is in quite a skimpy
yeah.
costume, but she's not in a chainmetal bikini.
I would
Yeah.
also argue that I don't think the movie, partly because I don't think, well, this would show a level of intentionality with the cinematography that I don't think was really present.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of the female characters are ever, like, objectified by
No,
the camera's
Ormeline
gaze.
actually has quite a significant cleavage, but the camera does not linger on it.
As the straight man in the room, I didn't notice a significant cleavage.
Yeah, yeah.
It didn't linger on it or make a
But-
thing of it.
having said all this, let's be clear that there was an awful lot of unnecessary fade shots.
Oh my god.
The crossfades were aggressive.
I feel we should talk about
Do you remember that time when they were like 4 in like the space of 5
Well, because
seconds?
they're like, we need to go and investigate this evil, so we crossfade from the scene they're in to crossfade of them getting on horses, crossfade to them riding on horses, crossfade on them riding horses across plain with an overlay of cloud effect that I thought was another crossfade that had not worked properly. And I was like, is that another scene playing over the top?
And then they crossfaded again.
Yeah, into cave where they find sleeping dragon. Yeah. But this was the thing. Like some of the editing was I'd say that the editing wasn't great, but some of the effects were pretty good, and some of the sets.
Yeah.
Like the shaman's the shaman's hut with the spike trap.
Yeah.
They literally built a giant spike trap in a set that their actors could walk around in.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, that's really good.
It was kind of like, Then on the other hand, the Dragon's Cave, the rocks were clearly plastic.
Yes, very plastic.
I guess in some ways you could say they spent their budget wisely.
Yeah.
Like there's some it's really interesting like that, because there were some bits where you're just like, oh, this is the garbage I expected, and then some bits you're like, that's really good, or oh, I'm really invested right now.
Yeah, like the bit where Damodar grew his arm back, we were all really impressed by the effect there.
And I have to say, the actual dragon, like it's not the best dragon ever, but it's
not
really...
like the Langoliers.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
A Langoliers reference in the good year of 2019. Jesus.
Wow, fuck you.
No, I'm not like having a go at you. I'm just being like, I haven't thought about the Langoliers for like 15 years.
We like to bring these things back.
No one's probably thought about the Langoliers in like 15 years, to be fair.
But yeah, I just was generally quite surprised and shocked that this movie was good and fun. Can I talk about what I think was probably the best scene in the movie?
What would you do if we said no?
I'd do it anyway because it's my podcast.
Exactly.
So
don't ask me questions if you don't want an answer.
It was rhetorical. But the scene I think was the best is that using a magical scrying pool that was designed by a demon specifically to be wrong, so you could teleport anywhere, but it might send you to send you to perhaps a wall. Our heroes teleport into the cave of Damodar to like surprise him and get the orb, right? And they teleport in, and Ormeline's arm gets fused with the wall. And she's like, Jesus Christ! And then shit starts to go down. There's a bone cage. Already Nim has been like fucked up by the electric floor from a really good scene previously. And it's like, the chips are down, and they manage to just about get the orb away from Damodar and fucking book it, right? And they're like, Ormeline, you've got one teleportation spell yet. And she's like, I'm going to send you to Ishmir so you can save the world. And Beric, who's been all like, my service is to my kingdom. He's like, no. We'll teleport to this temple where the best healers are. It'll be okay, but I'm gonna have to cut your arm off.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
Actually. And all of the actors did a really good job of selling the seriousness of this. He's like, Lux, make a tourniquet. And you're like, oh shit! It's like, forgive me. And I'm like, oh my god! Boys!
I also loved how they did the shot, because obviously there was no way that they'd already spent their chopping off somebody's arm budget, and obviously
earlier in the
you
scene.
can only do one.
Yeah.
So they kind of as the teleportation effect kicked in, like he was swinging the sword, and I was like, that's actually quite good, because that allows you to do a certain amount of like shocking gore without like it's just implied shocking gore, but it was really well sold.
And the actors did a really good job. I think Beric, the guy Mark Diamond, did a really good job.
I think he did.
Because I think his character was, in no disrespect to this movie, not very deeply written.
No.
I think all of the stuff he pulled out of the character was his acting chops.
Yeah, I agree.
Of actually like making you believe and be invested in the guy. He was just like, it was good. Surprisingly so.
I mean, we've had a lot to say about it, but
Yeah.
I mean, like I was like, as I said, like when we were in the middle of it, I was like, don't get rid of it. We should keep this. I might want to watch it again sometime.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd happily show this to more people.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. Like, I would be like, no, it's actually quite fun.
Yeah,
Like,
there was some genuinely really like nice bits, and also like although again like it was I think neither of them could really sell the relationship. I quite liked that Beric had his wife, and that she got to do stuff.
And she was like, I'm a really important mage.
Yeah.
Like,
and she was a really. Like,
I've
she
got
was
my whole own shit going on here.
I'm like, my research is like really important to the plot.
I've got a career path where I want to like, better myself and get on the council of mages.
And he's like, I love that about you.
He's all like, you're so smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I liked that.
Where did this come from?
Yeah. The things you pick up in a charity shop when you need a stocking filler.
I think it was more the who made this?
Yeah.
Why is it like?
Why did someone do a really good job on
Well,
like...
like why? How does this have women doing things and so many things don't?
Yeah. Like, good female representation and like, but also it's very
I'm
even.
not sure it passes the Bechdel test though.
I can't remember if Ormeline and
They
Lux
don't,
talk
I'm
at any
afraid.
point. Yeah.
But-
They technically, she's all like, Lux, stop killing everybody and get in the
Okay,
cave.
that's fair enough.
She technically doesn't respond with words because she just goes, ah!
But then she gets in the cave.
Yeah.
So she must.
Well, she
have
gets
heard.
blown up and then goes, actually, you're right, I should get in the cave.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. No, there was some. Yeah, it was just genuinely quite fun, and
Yeah.
Also, I just want to say, I think it actually did a. I mean, it's been a really long time since I can't remember if I've actually watched the original Dungeons and Dragons or if I've just kind of watched other people be like talking about how it's not very good.
I have watched it, so I may
But
be able to.
You said it was shit.
It is bad, but Jeremy Irons does a lot of work with chewing all of the scenery.
But I think that it actually does quite a good job of faintly representing like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Like you could see how, like in some ways, it reminded me quite a bit of like the most famous representation of Dungeons and Dragons put to paper form, which is the Dragonlance series, which like is based on like one of the author's campaigns, and then
Is that where
spans
Reitzlin comes from there, right?
Raceland.
Raceland, yeah.
Raceland.
Absolute fucking boy.
Raceland is an absolute fucking boy. Like I'm not gonna lie, guys. I mean, the thing about Dragonlance is some of it is not very good.
But the thing about this film is
much like
much
like this movie, and much like Dungeons and Dragons itself.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's great, and other times you're like, that was a shit session. I hated that.
Yeah.
We just crawled a dungeon and all we came out of was a mouldy old chalice.
But I mean, it was, I just felt like it kind of captured sort of the bits where it's like you've got your party that are a little bit, you've got this sort of thing.
Everyone's got different skills, you've got to solve puzzles.
Yeah, everyone's going to be useful or not useful, but they're going to do stuff and things, And I kind of felt like, yeah, this feels like a Dungeons and Dragons thing. This feels like I can see how it would connect with Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, this could be somebody's roleplay thing. You can see someone going, okay, roll for this. Oh shit, you got it wrong.
Can I talk?
Do you step on the floor? No.
You need to roll dexterity to see if you can do the floor, but now the mirror's gone, so you don't know where it is. Jump, Nim, jump! Can I talk about my favourite Nim character moment?
Yes.
Which is there early on when the team is still in fractious, we're not quite friends yet mode.
Listen to us,
Yeah, we're just like, we're all out for ourselves. Beric and Nim have a conversation where Nim basically just sasses Beric really hard.
Yes!
And Beric's like, oh, whatever, go help Lux do stuff or whatever. And Nim's like, okay. And then he walks, and the camera follows him, he just goes and lies down on the floor.
Yes.
As if to be like, fuck you, Beric, you're not the boss of me. And I was like, I love this guy.
That's also the scene where Dorian punched a tree.
He hit a tree so hard it exploded. You're like, dang, Dorian, is that your whole character? Yes.
Well, to be fair, did he hit it with his hammer?
Yes.
And
He
now
did,
you,
like,
now
big
you
hammer
understand
thing.
why that card from Legends of Hero has the Hodge, the cleric, and armor.
Oh my god!
Everything just
Some
saved.
clerics carry hammers.
Some clerics hit real hard. So I'm going to move us
With
towards
the fist of Jesus.
final thoughts. Maddie, what are your final thoughts on Dungeons and Dragons Wrath of the Dragon God?
Like, it made me a lot happier than I expected it to.
It's been on your DVD shelf for like a year.
It has.
Yeah. You've
Yeah.
always had this treasure just
Yeah.
hidden in the dungeon
Yeah.
of your own DVDs.
Maybe the real dragon was the friends we made along the way. Yeah.
Maybe the real treasure was the tall Amazons that we thought should have their own spin-off movies along the way.
Yes.
Give Lux a movie. It would be great. It would be a prequel about her being like, my brother's so crazy.
Is that your final thought?
No, it's not my final thought.
Okay, what's
Rachel,
your final
what's
thought?
your final thought?
Okay.
I mean, I feel we've summed up my final thoughts on Lux, so I mean, we're just like...
Some strong lesbian energy from Lux, and we're just like, yes.
But you guys were shipping her with Nim.
She goes,
I am.
she's fine, yeah.
Everyone in this
She
movie
can
is
marry
bi.
me
Yeah.
and Nim. It's fine. There's
Good
space for
point.
me and Lux to get married, and then it'd be
She can
great.
carry you in her strong arms.
Exactly.
Oh my god, she might be taller than you.
I think she might exactly. See, this is why I love her because I am quite a tall woman, and I'm like, oh, you don't see many tall women.
Cool leg tattoos as well.
Yeah, cool. Like that. And I actually really liked the eyebrow tattoo she had going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my actual final thought was, it was surprisingly enjoyable. Like, obviously, if you're a kind of person who really hates things which are occasionally a bit like, oh, why did you think that special
Or if you
effect was a
hate
good
fantasy,
idea?
like if you hate the fantasy genre, then
Yeah.
it's nothing for you.
But I mean, I really think, I had a lot of fun, and I feel like genuinely I was like, oh, some of that made me feel really happy. Like you, I'm like, oh, what a good experience.
And for my final thought is I was just really impressed that Dorian was frozen by a frost dragon, eaten, and then exploded by his own team. And the team was then showered with his frozen body parts.
Yes,
That's a good point.
It was
Severed
super
leg.
gnarly, but it was also great. This movie rocked. What a good time. Bye!